It had to be done. Luigi Mangione's last disturbing message, his manifesto. And this manifesto is crazy. This Luigi situation is crazy.
All right, buck up. We begin with a Fox News alert. The suspect in the killing of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, has been charged after being arrested Monday at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Right
Very far away from where this happened. Like, had to get on a car and get the heck out of there.
now, he's being held at a jail in Huntingdon, Pennsylvania.
Yep. Alexis McAdams has been covering the case all week long from the time of the shooting, actually within the hour. Alexis is now joining us here. Alexis, bit of a surprise that we found him in Altoona.
That's right. And it came in from a 911 call from a worker of that McDonald's. So that's how this case ended up.
Don't go to McDonald's, y'all. There's a bunch of snitches that work there. You go to Burger King, you can have it your way. We know Wendy ain't no snitch.
Breaking, according to authorities. So the manhunt for the killer now ending at that McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Luigi Mangione is facing.
And hell, you go to Chick-fil-A, they might help you get away. They're all about their service. They'd say, yo, it's my pleasure.
A wide range of charges now, including murder right here in New York City. So the 26-year-old, you see him there on your screen, he was cuffed, then walked out of a Pennsylvania police department overnight. He's kind of looking around at the media, seeing who's out there, and there were a lot of cameras capturing.
I mean, he's probably just looking to see what's going on with the situation. He's probably a little nervous. His heart rate's probably going crazy. Doesn't know exactly what's going to happen to him.
His every move. Mangione.
And by no means am I trying to defend this guy. This guy is definitely not a good guy. We don't commit murder just because we disagree with somebody. If you want to go after these corporations and these insurances, because we can all agree that the insurance company is corrupt. Nobody is here defending the insurance company. But if you want to go about attacking them, then maybe get into the political system, work on regulations, kind of do what RFK did with the environmentalists and just sued the heck out of all of these big corporations to clean up the environment. He's a well-educated guy. He could have, there was a route for him to become somebody who could persecute these companies, these insurance companies, and get like some type of reformation around that, or reformation.
Tony then stood in front of a judge who explained that he could be extradited to New York City because he was hit with some charges in Pennsylvania, but the ones in New York City are the ones that are the most serious, including.
Yeah, that he murdered somebody in New York. It's probably a little bit more serious than what's going on in Pennsylvania.
Murder. So this comes after a McDonald's employee spots Mangione in Altoona, Pennsylvania. It's like a 4.5-hour drive away from where this murder happened. That person called 911 to report the sighting, saying, I think I recognize the guy in the wanted pictures, specifically his eyebrows and his eyes, because he was wearing some type of surgical mask.
That's kind of crazy. Yo, I recognize this guy's eyes and his eyebrows. I recognize those eyebrows from anywhere.
As he was eating inside that McDonald's. Mangione was sitting there wearing that mask. When officers pulled up and asked him some questions, they said, remove your mask, and then questioned the 26-year-old, who they say started shaking, visibly acting really nervous when they asked him, were you recently in New York? Then he handed over a fake ID, and that's key because he used.
Yikes, that's probably not the smart move there.
That fake ID, sources tell me, to check into a New York City hostel before the shooting. Mayor Eric Adams has been thanking the officer out in Altoona who caught Mangione. Listen.
Hey, Tyler.
I guess we found your guy.
Yes, we as New Yorkers, we appreciate it.
Yo, we as New Yorkers, we appreciate your hard efforts. We know you out there working hard. We out here working hard too. We appreciate your efforts. I just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate your efforts.
You just did a great job, heads up policing. You took a dangerous person off the street. We thank you so much.
It was great to do.
More than happy to do it. I can't say I was expecting it waking up this morning.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You just have to keep your eye out, and that's exactly what.
Shout out to those cops. Honest to God, shout out to those cops. Cops it's a thankless job. Wake up every day and you don't know if it's your last day on this planet because you're trying to keep your community safe. It is a thankless job. You get called into the craziest situations, and at the end of the day, you're a human who's experiencing life in real time just like the rest of us. And there's no manual, there's no handbook to how to be the very best, the best there ever was. Because you're not like everybody else. Somebody else may have done it, somebody else may have gone down a path, but you are not them, right? So you have to walk down your own journey and write your own chapter day by day.
The worker did at McDonald's and the authorities there in Altoona. Mangione is facing these charges on your screen, including second-degree murder in New York and possession of a.
Okay, so what are his actual charges? Second-degree murder, yeah. Possession of a loaded firearm. So this has to be without carrying permits, because if you carry, you're gonna have a loaded gun. I mean, that seems odd. Possession of a forged instrument, okay, and then criminal possession of a weapon. Okay, criminal possession of a weapon. If we go, and this is gonna be kind of crazy, if we try to get like gun control from this, what's going to happen is going to be the same thing during the alcohol prohibition. Is people are still going to get their guns. It's crazy, I know, but us Americans, we like our gats, okay? We like our pew pews. So what's going to happen is a 3D printed market is going to come up. This this underground market of just 3D printed guns, if there's not one already, and people are going to get their guns that way. And if you were thinking about, well, what about munitions? Well, if they're really that off the wall, you can reuse your casings. And if not, I'm sure they're going to have 3D printed guns that shoot like little, basically like toothpicks, the gun reform won't work the same. It won't work.
Loaded gun, a gun they believe he printed on a 3D printer. Mangione had a backpack with them at the time of the arrest. Inside was a handwritten note that they say explained a possible motive, talking all about how he was in severe back pain and talking about the healthcare industry, saying it was a big scam. Also inside was a weapon. The Ivy League grad and Maryland native who went to a really expensive prep school and then went
an expensive prep school, like a private school that his parents paid for, and then he went to an Ivy League school over here in America. This guy was not an idiot. He could have become a person who works with the insurance companies, or really works against the insurance companies to work on their regulations and make it more flexible for everyday people instead of going down this route. It's just such a shame to see somebody who, with the smile, the energy that he seems like he possesses, he could have used that for something good instead of just putting more hate and negativity out in the world. Because whether he likes the dude or not, life that he took had a wife. I believe had more than one kid, had 2 kids. Like, you took that away from them. No matter what has happened to you in the world, they did nothing to you. So why are you doing this to them?
To UPenn, reportedly mentioned United Healthcare by name. Reading this, they say, parasites had it coming. I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done. So some disturbing words there that will all be part of this case. This is who was.
We can't live in a world with people within our community that think like that. We have to have more love, more empathy, and if we want to make change, we have to do it democratically with our voice and with love. And this is not how. This is neither of those.
Was killed.
This is literally a silencer pistol, so take the voice out of it. You got that thing silenced. And that ain't love going into the back of this dude's calf and the back of this dude's chest.
On your screen. He was a dad of 2. He was only 50 years old, in town for work. He worked for United Healthcare for like 2 decades and was shot at least 2 times. In that video, he kind of gets shot in the leg first, then shot right in the chest. He leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro making sure people in their community know he was not a hero, this gunman.
I can't believe there's people out there who genuinely look at this gunman, and it's probably because he's somewhat of an attractive guy, young, athletic guy, passionate, very athletic. People are going to look at him and think that we got to save him. This is not somebody who you save.
In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero.
Absolutely not. This guy is not a hero. Just because he's going after the insurance company, you may agree with him that the insurance companies are bad or evil. Once more, no one is defending the insurance company. But just because he is a bad dude and he is saying something that may not be bad, that most people may agree with, doesn't make him a good dude. Just because he's saying something good doesn't make him good, right? A broken clock can be right twice a day, right? Ultimately, what I'm trying to get at.
The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning.
Let's not get it twisted. The person at McDonald's, that's a snitch. The real hero is the cops, okay?
So Josh Shapiro using that
I'm just kidding. They're a hero too.
moment to let everybody know, how he personally felt about some of the abhorrent behavior of people who thought this guy was anything but a murderer. But let's focus on the manifesto if we can. Handwritten, 2.5 pages, condemn the healthcare system. The document specifically mentioned United Healthcare.
I don't want to see, if it's a 2-page document, I don't want to see one sentence from it. I want the full 2 pages. And this is ... here. What is it between here? I want all the context of this.
The insurance giant. He also, as you said before, one of the quotes was they called them parasites. He saw the document. He said, "I do apologize for the strife and trauma." You think? As I killed the father of your family and your husband, I apologize for that. But it's clear there was one person who was the high school valedictorian, went to UPenn, and it seems to be a different person now.
Yeah, something changed. You can listen to his speech when he was a valedictorian, at that prep school in Maryland, and he's talking all about how the class there in 2016.
Imagine you went to high school with this kid and you've graduated, you look back, I'm 30, you think about some of the people you went back to high school with, you look on the TV and you're like, Luigi? I know that guy. He murdered somebody? He had the whole world in his hand. What happened?
Wanted to get out there into the world and make a big difference. And now you look at, he had a bright future. His family had posted about that. He was very intelligent in the classroom. And now with this, he's looking, to spend the rest.
I mean, it's about, and for him to have graduated at the top of his class, that's insane. Some of our people, I'm thinking of Miller. I think Miller became a doctor.
Of his life behind bars.
Well, and people are starting to do a deep dive on his online profile. And I believe it was the Wall Street Journal looked at the reviews he wrote on books he had read. And among other things, he gave a book about the Unabomber's Manifesto 4 stars. And we don't know exactly why, if this guy is the guy right now. He is, he's still the alleged shooter. But it is interesting when you start to look at his online stuff, his X account, formerly known as Twitter, features what looks like
Always got to refer to it as formerly known as Twitter because nobody knows it's X now.
An X-ray of somebody who's gone through spinal surgery.
That's right.
And, people who've known him say that back pain affected all parts of his life. Guy's 26 years old. Was he just kicked off his parents' health insurance?
Over here in the United States, if you're 26 years old, that's when you get kicked off your parents' health insurance. And if you don't have a job, like I recently just got a job that has health insurance, and that just took a big burden off of my shoulder. So for somebody like him who's had back surgery, who's probably getting denied constantly left and right, he's living probably through extreme pain every single day. But once more, that does not give the right to take a father away and a husband away, a friend away. It does not give the right for that, no matter how much pain you're in. Instead, use that pain as fuel to work on regulations and working on correcting the insurance industry and making it much more community-based and a lot less predatory, because it is so gross.
Is that why, if he's the guy who did it, is that why this person wrote deny, delay, depose on those bullets? There are a lot of clues. We just haven't figured them all out unless it's the obvious one.
Yeah, and he had also written on social media and in some of these other things in the manifesto about how he's in severe pain. He used to be a really good soccer player, some of his friends had said, in high school, and he was
probably has so much resentment. It's like most men live quiet lives of desperation, and most guys are not going to a job that they're super passionate about. They've never been privileged enough to go out there and make a name for themselves, battle it out with some brothers, and that, like, to them, that was high school. That's the last time they do it. And dudes are 30, 40, full of ambition, but through their day-to-day lives, it's just quiet monotony. And for this guy who had a back injury, he probably had the super active life that got not only can you not do that anymore, but you're living through pain. And he probably had such high expectations of himself, especially going to Penn, graduating top of his class, and now he feels like the world was taken from him, so he's gonna take the world.
very active when he lived in Hawaii. He was always hiking and doing all these things. And then he kept talking about how his back hurt so bad from whatever had happened to him. I don't know what type of injury, and how the hospital.
How do we not know this kind of injury yet? If he's in jail, all of this other information, how do we not know what kind of back incident happened to this guy? What happened to him?
It wasn't the doctor's fault, he kept saying, but they would deny his claims.
The insurance company.
Yeah, the insurance company. So we're going to have to see, what happened here. But I think it's so disturbing that so many people, like you guys mentioned, are cheering on the gunman and saying that he did a job that needed to be done.
I'm worried about that. And as someone that I cover crime, you've covered crime for years. It's not only that there are people that are celebrating this guy, but it's also his plight. People being upset with the healthcare industry, the fact that people almost find him sympathetic, even if you start to get deeper, and if this allegation about the back pain being so much painful that led him to this.
The trigger.
I'm concerned that the jury, there's someone in there that can relate that will let a guy like this off. I've never.
And we can't let this guy off. Just because a bad dude says something about a message that you could resonate with doesn't change the fact that that is still a bad dude. Don't let your guard down around something like this, especially with the guy who's willing to go to that length to get a job done. That is a scary individual.
Never seen anything like this before.
I know. And then as the investigation continues, yesterday, we saw so many divers out there in Central Park. They were searching for any evidence they could find, like the other backpack that had Monopoly money in it. So that could come into play in a courtroom. And then also the backpack he had with him in El Tuna, that backpack had a weapon in it. They don't know if that's a specific weapon, I'm told, that was used in the shooting.
Right.
So did he print multiple guns? Did he have other possible possible victims that could have been coming? We don't know.
It's hard to even believe that you can do that. So he lived in the Surf Break co-living community in Honolulu. Residents there said that he did have chronic back pain. Here is one of his roommates. I don't know if this is a college roommate or someone from Hawaii. College roommate? Hawaii. All right, listen to this.
Unfathomable, knowing the kind, person that I saw and knew. I remember he said he had a back issue and he was hoping to get stronger in Hawaii. It also weighed on him that he knew that there was an impending surgery.
So we're wondering, is that?
And the surgery he probably got denied access to, or I want so much more details.
What caused him to snap? Was he in so much pain? But now he's going to be sleeping on a bed in a prison. The pain's going to be worse.
That's right. They have him in a holding cell. He's going to be possibly, in federal lockup. If you look at the charges that could come from printing a gun, I don't know what kind of facility he'll be in. But yeah, he's going to have big.
So supposedly he did 3D print a gun. So what's more, my point even more. You try to take gun away, you could just 3D print them, and you're like, well, we're just ban the files to be able to be shared. Like, we'll make it a criminal offense to share a 3D printable gun. You're on the black market. You think criminals are going to follow the rules and regulations? No, you're just going to keep making it harder and harder and harder for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves.
Problems here down the road, and you got to wonder too, did his family, did anybody recognize those pictures? How did a guy at McDonald's in El Tuna say, hey, I think I've seen that man? And the family did not, according to investigators.
Alexis, do we, our stage manager Chris said, why not first degree, which is capital murder? It was premeditated, judging by the manifesto. Do we expect more charges at some point today? Or do you think they're going to stay in the second degree right?
How do you even say in the second degree murder? This guy planned it out, premeditated, went to another state that he wasn't even living in, used a fake ID. I see it. And this is once more, these are all just allegations. This does not mean that Luigi, this guy, is the actual guy who did it. You never know. It could be somebody else, but if it walks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
I think it could change. I think those were just, the ones they could get him on now, and then they could always update. They just wanted to make sure they had a really tight case. They don't want it to get to court, possibly, and then have this thing flip. So they just charged him with that for now. But also the question is, did he really want to get this specific CEO, or was he looking for anybody that was coming in and out that day?
Sure. And the thing about ghost guns, and I remember it from the debate when, this became an issue, was they would be hard to detect in X-ray machines. You could take them onto an airplane.
Yeah, because they're plastic. They're just polyurethane.
And so fast forward to now, and it's like, you can look online and figure out how to print one up. The guy was at UPenn studying computer science. He was an engineer. If anybody should have no problems doing it, it would be somebody with that resume.
That's right. Yeah, background in engineering, 2 degrees from UPenn, and this is what he used it for. So we're gonna have to see what plays out.
Tragic. He could have used that to actually be the face of this change in regulation, right, and done something good, not just for himself, but for the United States as a whole.
Out here.
All right, Alexis, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Shocking, though, isn't it? Not the type of guy that we would expect to do something like this.
Not at
With his
all.
family background, his parents and grandparents opened country clubs and healthcare facilities, real estate company. They had money.
Yeah.
He went to the
Wow, yeah, this guy came from money. And it's going to be interesting with the amount of money that this guy's come from. I wonder, one, how could they not just send him overseas or send him over to Mexico for some stem cells in his back? There's just there's so many questions. There's so many questions, which makes me think that if the mainstream media is going with this narrative, that it's probably wrong, and it probably isn't like, all of these things are just really nice coincidences lined up perfectly for us to just wave off the thing. Oh, yeah. But there could be some other stuff because there's some real sketchiness between the CEO family, Nancy Pelosi. I don't want to say that name too loud on YouTube, but there's some weird stuff where it's basically like if you're on the internet, just like in crypto, where you can pump it up and dump it. Stocks, you could do the same thing and pull the rug out from the stocks. And I think as this story unfolds, we're going to hear more and more about that. But I would like to be wrong in this. But if you guys like the way the words are flowing out of my mouth, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, like the video, subscribe, share with your friends. I appreciate everyone who's been here hanging out live. Where I appreciate your first time chatting today, Tiff. You're great. Subscribed up, modded up. I appreciate everyone for hanging out. And I'll catch you guys